I'm speaking in today's commentary based on circulating clips, public discussion, and social media reactions surrounding a recent Royal Children's Hospital visit in Melbourne involving Meghan Markle. The situation online escalated quickly after short video segments began circulating, each one framed differently depending on who posted it and what narrative they wanted to push. The core claim being discussed online is that during a structured greeting moment, applause broke out in the room, and some users interpreted it as a forced standing ovation from children in the hospital. There is no verified evidence supporting that framing, but once the internet gets a hold of a vague emotional moment, it doesn't really slow down to check what actually happened. Meghan Markle is at the center of the conversation, as she often is in public appearances. Supporters describe her involvement in hospital visits as warm, intentional, and aligned with charitable engagement. Critics, on the other hand, read every gesture through a lens of performance and media optics, assuming intent behind movements that may simply be procedural or ceremonial. The children in question were patients in a controlled hospital environment, where visits from public figures are carefully managed for emotional uplift and safety. Applause in such settings is not unusual. It is often encouraged by staff to create a positive atmosphere. That detail matters, but it tends to get lost once clips are stripped of context and replayed in isolation. One circulating clip shows clapping during greetings. Another shows smiling reactions. Another shows staff guiding movement in the room, which is standard in medical environments where infection control and patient well-being come first. None of this is unusual in practice, but online interpretation rarely cares about what is normal. But you haven't heard the craziest part. Within hours, the moment was reframed into a moral argument about authenticity versus performance. Comment sections turned into competing narratives, each side convinced they were seeing the real truth, hidden inside a few seconds of footage. What started as a hospital visit became a referendum on intent, character, and symbolism. The tension escalates because people are not reacting to the full event. They are reacting to fragments. A few seconds of applause becomes a story. A facial expression becomes a theory. A guided moment becomes suspicion. It's like trying to understand an entire movie by staring at a single paused frame and confidently inventing the plot. A useful comparison is how movie trailers are edited. You can make anything look sinister if you cut it the right way. A smile becomes a smirk. Applause becomes coercion. Silence becomes guilt. Same footage, different emotional soundtrack. A key point raised in broader online discussion is that hospital visits by public figures are often staged in structure, not in emotion. Timing, movement, interaction flow, and even applause can be guided by staff whose priority is patient comfort, not media optics. That nuance rarely survives online distribution. Emotionally, this is where the story becomes heavier than the facts actually support, because people aren't just debating a visit anymore. They are projecting their wider distrust of celebrity culture onto a controlled healthcare environment involving vulnerable children. That combination guarantees distortion. The reaction online reportedly spiked across platforms, with users splitting into two predictable camps. One side framing the moment as harmless charity optics being overanalyzed. The other side interpreting it as manufactured sentiment designed for public consumption. Both sides are reacting more to their assumptions than to anything conclusively shown in the footage. As the discussion spreads, the original context fades further into the background. What remains is a narrative shaped by repetition, not verification. And repetition online has a way of hardening uncertainty into something people start treating like fact. When longer context and typical hospital protocol are considered, the forced ovation interpretation does not hold up in a meaningful way. What remains is a standard public visit, emotionally interpreted through fragmented media and existing public bias. The uncomfortable truth here is simpler and less dramatic than the internet wants it to be. Not everything is a hidden performance. Some moments are just managed environments doing what managed environments always do. And in that gap between reality and interpretation, outrage gets built, shared, and believed. The final irony is that the more people try to expose performance, the more they end up performing certainty on incomplete information. If anything, the real pattern is not about one visit. It's about how quickly context dies when attention is the main currency. Next time, the footage will be even shorter and the conclusions even louder.